Everybody, welcome to Bourbons and Bullshit. Big, the boss hog on the numeral 11. Oh, wow. Good stuff, guys. Hi, welcome to StorChats, StorSuite's version of a podcast. My name's John Manus, and I do a version called Bourbon and Bullshit. And I have a special guest with me today that I've known for a really, really long time. And the irony is, one of my best friends in the industry, along with the fact that I know you're going to get a lot of bullshit out of him today. So let me start with this. Who are you and what the hell do you do?
Peter Spickenagel, I'm in Citizen Storage Management. In the self-storage industry, 16, 17 years, owner-operator.
And literally, that's how long we've known each other, 16 or 17 years. I was with a regional operator, and he was with a regional operator. Now both of us out on our own. Pretty good experience.
Yeah, I would say so. A little bit different.
A little bit different than what's happened over the years.
Quality of life a little bit better, I think. You know, a little less stress.
Yeah, not trading your time for money.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, somebody owning you.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Got it.
Yep.
So what we do here on Bourbon and Bullshit is we talk a lot of business, a lot of personal stuff. The bottle that we have today is a Rowan's Creek. It's made by Willett out of Kentucky. You want to do the honors and open it?
No, you can do it.
Are you sure? Here we go. So,
By the way, we're filming this at 7 a.m., so...
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I did one last week, and I was going to do it, and I didn't feel like drinking bourbon at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I waited till after all my calls, and I did it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So,
well, I was waiting for you to call it bullshit.
Yeah, no, it was bullshit. It is bullshit. It's actually 2 o'clock
like that.
Eastern time in Florida. We are at the National Self-Storage Association Conference. So I typically give about a 3/4 ounce pour. We talk about the smell, what's on the nose, and then we talk about the taste. I've been doing bourbon for probably 4 years. That's light. It's light on the nose. It doesn't have a high alcohol to it. It is 100 proof. So I get a little bit of vanilla. I don't know if you smell it.
Yeah, I'm picking up a little traces of bad decisions.
Bad decisions?
I think that's what
yeah,
I'm
we've had a few of those in our lifetime. Hopefully,
there's something else there too. Scars?
Hopefully, without this,
interesting,
I won't end up with 22 stitches, because one of the last times I really got drunk with Peter, I ended up with 22 stitches.
You did.
So thank you for that reminder.
I feel very fortunate to be able to physically alter your body.
Yes.
So you have something permanent on you.
That is
that
correct.
makes you feel good.
And that is exactly what this podcast is all about, because that is bullshit right there. So, all right, I always say the second sip is always the best, because the first sip washes your palate, and the second one you really get the tasting notes.
It's actually very light.
Very light.
Yeah.
So my favorites are anywhere from that 95 proof to the 105 proof. So typically your 100 proofs are bottle and bonds, and the 100 proof for me is just right where it needs to be. I get a really light caramel out of it and a tiny bit of honey.
It's pretty good.
And then on the second one, I get a bunch of vanilla on the front.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's pretty good. I've had that one before. I would definitely buy it again. It's always a good one. It's about $50, $55 a bottle, MSRP. So anyway, let's get into the more of the bullshit part of this. So why don't you tell everybody what you do on a regular basis, what you're into these days versus what we started doing when we're...
Yeah, it's, well, I started at the very, very bottom of this industry. So, you know, I remember I was leaving grad school, and my undergrad's in classical guitar performance.
Yes, you are a damn good guitarist.
I toured most of my 20s in a couple different bands, mastery in classical guitar. The largest place I ever played was Pontiac Silverdome, with like 70-some thousand people.
Really weren't that good.
No, I wasn't. This is the second best conservatory in the nation, College Conservatory of Music at the University of Cincinnati for my master's. And I was leaving that program and, didn't really know what's next. And I wanted to teach at a university, but there was one job posting on the whole United States for adjunct guitar professor. And I'm like, shit, like this is not looking good. I got all this student loans coming, and I've been doing this for such a long time. But I also had a minor in business, and really enjoy business in general, and the music side of the business, or the business industry, not the music industry. And U-Haul, driving from Cincinnati, moving in with some friends in Grand Haven, Michigan, and my mom calls me. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, just driving. She's like, hey, I applied for some office job. I really don't know what it is. They're only going to be in town tomorrow to do interviews. And I start telling them about you, and they want to see your resume. And I'm like, oh, back off. But I get it. I need a job. Right? Like, I need a job. I get it. And
I love your mother.
So she's like, when you get to Grand Haven, email them your resume. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I did. They reached back out. We set up an interview for the next day. Turned out to be my first job in self-storage. It was a part-time property manager, making $13 an hour at a property that the bank foreclosed on, and it was a mess. The office used to have a guy who lived there who was 300 pounds, grease stains up the wall because they figured out how to get a stove in there. It was ran by the business across the street, and no leases. The only thing they had was like an Excel spreadsheet.
So kind of like how you run your properties now.
Worse.
Worse.
I run my properties way worse. So that was my first kind of entrance into the industry, and I took the job thinking, hey, I'm going to give it 6 months, see how it goes. I work harder than almost anyone around me. And the company I joined doubled in size in the recession, and so, but they're still kind of small. And I figured, if they doubled in size in recession, their growth trajectory looks good. And I moved up fairly quickly in my company, was with them for about 5 years, and then went from 16 locations when I joined them to over 80. In that 5-year period, I then got ownership of the company as well. So I had ownership of 44 of those locations. We sold everything to Houston Heitman in 2015, and then I started Citizen Storage fully out of my own outside of them, and been growing our company ever since. So that's kind of a long-winded thing like where I'm at now.
It's an awesome story, though. Your mom bugged the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Go get a job.
Correct.
She literally started your career in storage.
Yep.
It's really cool. So, what are the things about business that fascinate you?
So, I think I think we share this together, where it's about relationships, and I care a significant amount about not only our employees, but how we treat our tenants and how our employees treat their tenants. And I believe it's a top-down approach on how you can either be respectful to people that work with you, be fair, honest, given goals, the training tools, and resources in order to get to those goals, and just be a decent human being. And I think when that happens, a lot changes in business. And you can be a horrible person that has a successful business, but I'd rather be a great person than a successful business. And I love the deal chase. I love underwriting properties. I love seeing where the value is, seeing how somebody currently operates, how we can step in there and operate, how we can have an impact on that community that we operate in, and then also make an impact, hopefully, to our employees too. So for me, it's really relationship driven. We talk about relationship selling with our employees. We want them to connect with our customers. I want to connect with our employees. And I don't know, it's really, I guess, making a change in the immediate world that I live in and have a positive impact on that, whether that's my family, it's my friends, or the people that I work with.
It's interesting you say that, because I think we do share the same core value that our motto inside StorSuite is people first, right? And as you know, in business, it becomes challenging at times when your urgency outweighs the ability to get it done sometimes, so that you have to put on your game face.
Yeah.
But I do think the art of the chase is fun,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? And then I think the other thing that you and I share in common is what I would call the finished product. After you get in there, you make an impact. You stand back and you look at it and you go, that's pretty badass, and I have my fingerprints all over that. That's there's a good reward behind it.
100%. Maybe it's like the dad in me now that like suburban.
Yeah, but I knew you before you weren't the dad.
It's true, but it's that old. It's like I care about how my lawn looks. Like, it's the stupidest thing.
That is so
It's
stupid.
right? Absolutely stupid.
I never thought in my wildest dreams I would hear Peter Spickenagel say that he was worried about his lawn.
100%.
Dude don't even cook for himself.
I don't. But it's the idea of taking something that's overgrown, looks messy, and then when you take care of it, it comes out something looking like absolutely amazing, pristine, edged properly. It's that like you are working on something to make it better and have a visual impact. Like I don't know. That's kind of why I related that to like lawns, and it sounds so cliche and daddish, but like I care about it because I like taking something that is disheveled, that is messy, and cleaning up, and being able to step back and like, I did that.
I got a buddy in West Virginia by the name of Jeff Burnett. I've been friends with him for 30 years now. He was my next door neighbor, and his lawn was always immaculate.
Yeah.
Same, like he fertilized 10, 10, and 10 every year.
Yeah.
Bright green, like dark green, edged. Well, I don't know.
That edge thing is important to me.
No.
You got a good edge. Good fade with haircut. You don't know about that.
No, I don't.
You don't know about that one.
Yeah, because I got bumps and stuff that somebody put there years ago. It's funny you mentioned about relationship driven and so on, and something that we were talking about prior to getting on this podcasting and video call is my mom made my jacket that I have on. And for those of you that are in storage, you know I'm known for wearing these branded jackets. So I couldn't get one that I liked enough from overseas, so I had her custom make me one. And this is the custom one. There's a tag on the inside that says custom made by mom. And you shared something with me about custom jackets that I thought was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And that is the jacket you have on.
Yeah, so I got this one custom made too, not by my mom.
Yes.
She just gives me guilt about jobs.
That's great.
Make sure I have jobs.
She forced you to get the job to make the money to buy the jacket.
That's right.
So
the inside, you can pick out your own exterior liner. Maybe it's the musician in me, but I love skulls and like that whole etching has my name. And what I pick out the colors, like the buttons.
Yeah, like my buttons are owls.
Yeah.
See that?
I see that. You can't see it, but underneath my lapel on the back, it actually has my daughter's name, so Piper and Tilly. So again, relationship-wise, I have my family's with me, I have my daughter's with me.
I think that's the coolest thing, that you put your daughter's names in the back of your jacket, and it's actually underneath the collar, not in the back where a tag would be,
flip it up.
which is super cool.
The only people that know are the people I tell, and myself.
Dude, when you told me that earlier, it just gave me goosebumps, because I've known you before you had kids, and you've absolutely made a great dad.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
Yep. So I'm in Texas, you're in Michigan. I like to think it's two totally different worlds these days. There's a lot of talk about the Canadian tariffs and the USA tariffs on Canada and so on. That's literally in your backyard. What are you personally feeling out of that? What are you seeing in your own household, in your community? Like outside of storage, what are you seeing and what are you feeling?
Yeah, it's tough. I think you have a lot of blue collar workers that work at the auto manufacturing plants. You have the big three are based there, and I think a lot of people don't realize when you're looking at tariffs on the auto industry. And I know there was a carve out recently specifically for the auto industry, but that is still on the table. I need to come back in April. And the reason why it was carved out is because between Michigan and Canada, parts go back and forth across the border multiple times for a car. So every time it crosses, it's going to get that 25% tariff, and the cost of manufacturing those cars will go through the roof. And so the costs is going to go up. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to cut expenses, right? Because they cannot have their profit margins squeeze that much. So what's going to happen? People's jobs are going to be affected. And then the cost of vehicles will go up as well. For all Americans, not just like Michigan, but from a job-related standpoint, it's putting a significant impact, especially on the eastern side of Michigan and like Minnesota. So that's just on like the auto industry. And then you look at the lumber. I think it's 80% of our lumber comes from Canada. And it's the type of wood that is used in building houses are the type of trees that grow in Canada. And so most of the trains that come across are carrying all that lumber. So you'll see trains with CN, that means they're Canadian trains, and they're mostly hauling lumber back and forth. And so I think how it impacts my life is we're looking for to buy a house, right? And so new home builds in Michigan they are everywhere to pass self-storage. People not moving, not relocating in the housing market affects demand in our industry, which we've seen in the last 2 years. And then we're hoping that interest rates are going to come down this year to help spur that housing. And I don't know if that's the case either. I think because we're holding steady on it, and now the stock market's tanking because of uncertainty with the trade. So personally, for me, it's affecting our ability to find a more new build or just inventory in general on the market. I think it's going to affect home builders not only in Michigan but nationwide because the cost of materials are going to go up. Again, the majority of the wood comes from Canada for that stuff. That's not excluded. That has tariffs. And Trump just now threatened a 50% tariff on steel, which affects us because most of our buildings are steel. So it's going to affect you professionally too if you want to develop, expand, door replacements. And then Ontario provides a significant amount of electric for Michigan, Wisconsin. I think there's another state too that they provide. And because of the tariff war that's going on, now Ontario is threatening a 25% tariff on electric. So
I heard this morning from their government that he killed that.
He did.
And he's actually going to Washington now to have sensible conversations about not going back and forth about this. He called it tit for tat.
Yeah.
He said they're not going to do the 25% on energy, but they did accept the meeting to go to Washington and sit down and try to do this civilly.
So I think the uncertainty of whether or not these tariffs are going to happen, aren't going to happen, are they on the table, are they revoking, is causing complete stability in the markets, and the market is responding. And so personally, obviously investments are tanking because of it. There's a lot of stuff that's happening that I think, and I'm not going to say one side or the other from a political standpoint. I'm just saying what's happening, what's been proposed, this is how it's affecting us. And I think, we're hopeful for 2025. A lot of things are going to change and get better. Inflation's not going to happen. We won't have a recession. I think all that's back on the table. I think there's significance in the marketplace about that. And I have a lot of concerns how that's going to affect our industry coming into 2025. It's the same, either thrive in 25 or survive 25, right? And I was hoping it would be a thrive, but I feel like it's now meaning that we're going to try to survive again in 25. And it's been a tough couple years ago.
It's interesting you say that because I don't know if you're familiar with what the VIX is, but VIX just yesterday was at 27, which is probably the highest it's been in a really, really long time. Which, for those of you listening, the VIX is the fear index, so to speak. And the higher the number, the more fear there is in the market, right? So there's a lot of fear in the market. I mean, 2 days ago, the Dow dropped 800 points or something. I follow Ethereum and Bitcoin and things like that. And Ethereum has been cut in half just in the last 60 days. Bitcoin, not so much because of scuttlebutt that's happening with the current administration saying that they want to be the Bitcoin capital of the world in the United States. So it's dropped considerably. The interesting thing is, I heard that the reason we're not in a recession so far is because just in the last 30 days, we've dropped 5% in the market, and a typical recession is over 7, and it's lasting for more than 90 days. So they got to report quarter after quarter after quarter of downward spiral. I'm optimistic. I think it's more of a reset. A bunch of money's coming out of this, that then will go into this. And I also heard something yesterday that if this is the current administration's plan to force a recession, so to speak, or the attempt of a recession, that it forces the Fed to have to lower interest rates because us as a government can't refinance our debt right now at the higher interest rates, just like you and I can't refinance our self-storage properties at the higher interest rates. By doing what they're doing right now, forces the Fed's hands to have to lower interest rates to get us back into a competitive market. So if that's truly their plan and that works, I I think it sure as hell benefits me and you in the industry we're in.
It would.
It's going to be a long-term play, though. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I think the other side of that is the inflation piece. If you look what's happening in the market right now, the fintech stocks are decimated. And the reason why is because the market is seeing that consumer spending is going to drop significantly as a result of higher costs of goods. Tariffs aren't paid by the person, the company that brings them in.
It's us as consumers.
It gets passed on to us, right? It costs us more money to do business than to pass that on to our customers. So the cost is going to go up for and increases inflation. And part of the Fed's mandate is to not only make sure inflation is at 2.5% on a yearly basis and try to get it to that, and try to get it.
Where it's been in the 8s for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so that's why they've been very aggressive on the rate increases. I guess I would say if the inflation happens and all these tariffs happen, I think the inflation fears are probably more impactful to the Fed's decision than what it would be on a recession.
It's interesting.
And so I would almost view it in an opposite view that I think the Fed, in order to try to slow down inflation, they'll
keep rates up.
They'll have to either not cut that as is or raise, which I don't think anyone wants to see rates go up. So that's my concern.
For those of you listening and watching, this is called Bourbon and Bullshit for a reason, because we don't know what the hell we're talking about, and this is just our take on what we see in the market.
Before I came down, I was reading tea leaves. I think I'm accurate.
You think you're accurate? I think you're full of shit, but that's okay. And I've known that for like 16 years. All right, so let's wrap this thing up. We're here in Orlando. You gonna do anything fun while you're here?
I'm gonna sleep.
You're gonna sleep because that's right. Because you got kids now,
that's right.
And you don't get a chance to sleep.
That's right. I'm looking forward to sleeping.
That's too funny. Actually, I'm not doing anything fun either. As for those of you that listen to the other podcasts, the reason I did Bourbons and Bullshit is in honor of Pat Reineke, and that's the reason for this. It's because friends are good friends, brother.
Sure.
Thanks for everything. What's up, guys?